We'll just start. Hello.
Well, here we are again. Last week was so upsetting. I haven't shaved since then, and that's why I look like this. I apologize to everybody. But the other thing I need to apologize for is needing to close the door. Give me one second.
Okay. Welcome in, everybody. I'm just going to say World War II, The Great Blowback, all next week. Thad is teaching a 4-part series. The World War II course keeps getting updated. More information. Thad, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So this is basically a preview of a book I've been working on for 15 years. It is now going to be published in October, but I'm giving Unregistered Academy members a free preview. An extensive free preview of the section of the book on World War II, which is a complete revision of the standard narrative of World War II and America's involvement in it. So we're going to do 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which means we're not going to be doing this show next Wednesday. We'll be teaching World War II instead. So it's World War II week next week at Unregistered Academy. And if you want to join us, go to that URL right there. Go to Unregistered Academy at Substack and become a member. Very cheap. And you will get to sit in on the live course next week. You'll also be able to watch the recorded videos at any time after that if you're a member of the Academy. So you don't have to be there for the live course. The course videos will be up on Substack immediately as well for people to view. So come and check it out. It is a complete revision, as I said, of the American story in World War II. And you can just read the description to get a sense of the arguments that I make, buttressed by massive amounts of evidence that I've accumulated over a decade and a half, that I've devoted much of my life to over the last 15 years. And I think that, I'm quite sure that even if you are well-versed in the history of World War II, you will be surprised. You will learn many things. And I think it'll change the way that people view the most pivotal event really in world history, certainly modern world history, and in American history. So I'm really excited about this, looking forward to it, and I hope to see, we've already gotten several new people coming in because of this to the Academy who want to take this course. So I'll be excited to see all the new people who are joining me in this endeavor.
Not to give too much away, but you're focusing on FDR in Japan primarily?
No, focusing on the whole thing. That's
the
one
whole thing,
story.
but yeah, that's
the entire story. But yeah, the World War II, and this is something almost no one knows or talks about or acknowledges. World War II began in the 1890s when FDR was in high school at a prep school, when he began thinking about, dreaming about, and actually planning for a war with Japan. This is in 1898, 1899, when he was a 16-year-old at Groton School for Boys in Massachusetts. That's a very long, important story in itself, but the origins of it go all the way back there. That's the beginning of the story.
Sweet. People were saying we were on a date last week. People People
You, me?
were, yeah, no, me and you. They were like shocked at our friendly demeanor after after everything. They were like, get over this date that you guys are on over the first half hour. It's like, thought that was funny.
Oh yeah. Well, they're
Yeah.
no longer calling for your firing.
Yeah.
That has subsided.
Uh-huh.
The cancel Michael movement seems to have faded away, which is good. Because anybody who wants you to be fired doesn't understand what I'm about. Anyway, so yeah, we're here. We're fine. I have been doing a lot of work putting the finishing touches on the book over the last, I think it's been 4 months now. Editing, revising the manuscript, pulling together all the images and the maps, etc. And that is finally done. So I'm a little bit fatigued by that, but I'm using this week to recover, to teach next week the fruits of my labors. So
sweet.
You and I are good. It's been good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. Just stop saying wrong things. That's all.
I do
just be right more, okay?
I do have a critique of the right wing. I mean, I'm not a fan of the quote dissident right. I've aligned myself more with just straight middle of the road republicanism and whatnot. But this is a critique that we've always had of the right, that they do not understand art. And I know that this isn't entirely on the docket, but the discourse about the Grammys, just got me so frustrated with the right that they were like so pissed off that like every celebrity has the same anti-ICE statements at the Grammys. You know what I mean? And like they're totally missing the entire point of it. Like these are people who it seems do not enjoy music at all. Like who cares what a celebrity said for 30 seconds when they accepted an award in front of their peers to say the platitudes that will keep them in the industry? Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody, like, you got one of the greatest tributes to Ozzy with one of the greatest rock supergroups you could ever imagine. Like, how come nobody on the right is saying, oh my gosh, I loved what Chad Smith did to War Pigs and the drum solo and how he kept the pocket back? You know, how come nobody's saying I love Post Malone singing without auto-tune? How come nobody's saying I loved hearing Justin Bieber do a stripped down performance and sing without auto-tune again, you know, for his wife? How come nobody on the right understands that Bad Bunny definitely deserved album of the year? Like, yeah, like the Bad Bunny album is an incredible album. There's like 200 years of history of Puerto Rican culture in that album. Just because he wears a dress when he does live performances doesn't mean that like Puerto Ricans aren't the most talented musicians on the planet, and that we should be proud of this as the American heritage, that they're part of the story. I don't think necessarily he should perform at the Super Bowl, but so what? Like anybody who enjoys music, who knows art, should know that the Bad Bunny album is like a massive accomplishment for a lot of people, and Puerto Ricans absolutely deserve to be the center of attention and are immensely popular. Yeah.
Right. So I've never really listened to Bad Bunny except I suppose indirectly by hearing it maybe on the street or in bodegas. I don't know where. It's actually good, huh?
Yeah. The last album in particular, I'm not a fan of his singing style. It might give people the impression that all Puerto Ricans are hopped up on Xanax, but
you don't get hopped up on Xanax. It's a sedative.
Yeah.
That's the problem with rappers these days, is they do Xanax instead of cocaine, and this is why their music sucks.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I mean, it started with cough syrup. First it was cough syrup, and now it's Xanax. And like, how do you expect to be great in music?
You can't dance on a sedative. You know, the disco and all the great dancing.
Can't make good music either. I mean, all of the music of the 1980s and 90s was made on cocaine. We talked about the studies on that, right? Have I told you about that?
Oh, no.
The beats per minute in the 80s among all the pop songs is faster than any time else in American history. and has to be because of the cocaine being done by the producers.
Totally. Yeah.
So do coke, kids, and you'll be great too. And you'll make great art, and you'll make America great again.
Mhm.
Like our president, who does Adderall, which is the equivalent. Sorry. So Bad Bunny.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, why shouldn't he be at the Super Bowl?
Because it's a calculated move to get an international audience to look at the Super Bowl. Like, there's millions of people who might not tune into the Super Bowl who would tune into a Bad Bunny concert.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, the core of the NFL fan base is totally unfamiliar with Bad Bunny, would feel alienated by seeing a guy sing in Spanish in a dress during their halftime show. And the NFL has been bleeding out of their core audience for like the last decade. And I'm not a fan of isolating your audience and doing that to them. I think, when the World Cup is hosted in LA this year, that's a great opportunity. The World Cup is probably an even bigger stage to do something for him. But there's tons of artists that have a more broader appeal that would service the NFL core fan base better. That would, I think would be a better long-term play for the NFL. I don't see,
The NFL has not been bleeding anything. The NFL fan base audience is bigger than ever.
Mhm.
I mean, basically all Americans are now fans of the NFL, meaning that every demographic group is represented in the NFL
Mhm.
audience. Bougie liberals in New York City watch the NFL.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's almost required now.
I can't stand it with the kickoff rules, and I saw the Pro
Kickoff's
Bowl.
terrible.
The Pro Bowl game was a flag football game.
It's always been bad.
I know, watching one of the hardest gridiron games in Hawaii. It was cool when it was in Hawaii and people actually played hard, and you saw all stars putting their all. But I think the choice is, it might turn out to be a great choice. It might work out financially for them, but I think there's other artists that could do it. But regardless, like, just listen to the album. You'll hear like some of the best recorded folklore you'll hear. And you'll hear the direct line from plena to reggaeton. You'll hear the direct line from salsa to modern singing styles. You'll hear it all, and it's a blast. Like, nobody's done anything like it at that mainstream of a level. So he deserves all the flowers he's getting at the moment.
Even though he speaks Spanish and is brown and wears a dress.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very cosmopolitan of you.
Artists are weird people. Like, this is nothing new,
Mm-hmm.
So
has this caused you to shift your views on immigration at all?
No. Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Puerto Rico is a colony.
No, sure, but shouldn't we restrict them from coming in here too? Because they're no different than the rest of Latin America, except that they're a protectorate of the U.S. Other than legally, full of crime. By the way, it's a shithole country as far as I know.
No, my views on immigration are the same, and
okay,
I believe I want every nation to be like its own culture. Oh yeah, Miguel Zanon in the comments. Yeah, Miguel Zanon is like a saxophone arranger that has been doing this himself in a way more genius way, but like, that's for jazz nerds, even though it's amazing. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you've come back to us, at least partway. Let's talk about let's do ICE Minnesota immigration, because I have some thoughts on it.
Oh, there's news.
And there's also news to report.
Okay.
Just today, breaking news. DHS is withdrawing 700 personnel from Minnesota, which leaves, I think, 2,300 still in Minnesota, but it's a significant drawdown.
In exchange for county jails releasing criminals to ICE.
To ICE, right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, right, fine. I mean, My only thing about that is, if they're actual criminals, felons, then I certainly don't want them on the streets of America. But why is deporting them better than keeping them in prison? Because if you deport them, they can easily get back in, or they will do what they do in another country.
Well,
I mean, I'd rather just
the countries we're deporting them to are agreeing to put them in jail in their jails largely.
Okay.
So it's our taxpayers aren't paying for them to be in prison.
Okay.
So yeah, that's part of it.
We get a guarantee of that, I suppose.
For a lot of them, that's why a lot of the Laotians have been deported recently. Is that like Laos finally agreed to take their criminals back and put them in jail?
Okay. Well, yeah, sure. Felons are felons. I mean, who wants that around? So that seems just like basic.
Mm-hmm.
Let me offer, given many people's reactions to what's been happening, people who strongly supported Trump's immigration policy, strongly called for deportations, people who called for deporting all illegal immigrants immediately, which is a lot of people on the right who were not really Trump people before. There's a massive cave-in on their part. They all have been shocked and horrified by what's been going on and talking in much different terms about immigration. Well, we should just really just focus on the criminals and not just round up everybody. And I said, well, what happened? That means you're actually not anti-immigration.
Who are you talking about in particular? Like
Dave Smith.
Right.
People like that, libertarians who supported Trump on this, which is quite a few of them. And even sort of standard MAGA types are talking much more differently about immigration these days, which tells me they were never really anti-immigration.
I see libertarians who are just new to the immigration issue, like Dave Smith, pulling back on it.
I see the immigration issue. They've been libertarians. Libertarians are usually open borders, and it's a major issue for libertarians.
Yeah, but he recently, within the last 5 years, changed his mind, wanting for closed borders, and it was never. It was like an intellectual exercise for him. He wasn't too invested in it. He did come out like, the Milton Friedman argument, you can't have open borders and a welfare state, is the thing that convinced most libertarians.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see him as a.
Never made sense to me.
I don't see him as a staunch MAGA guy. I see him as a guy who voted one time and said fuck it, and didn't put too much weight behind it, and has sort of backtracked ever since. Same with Clint Russell.
Okay, so here's someone who softened their rhetoric on immigration considerably in recent weeks. Tom Homan, who's now saying, "Oh no, we should really just focus on the criminals and not just round everybody up." And this is Tom Homan, who a month ago was saying we're going to deport every single one of them.
Well, I could show you videos of work sites being raided while he says that. I think that's PR.
While he says what?
While he says we're focusing on criminals. It's a rhetorical
in the last week.
Yeah, yeah. There's work sites being raided, and like Amazon. There was an Amazon work site. There was a construction work site that got raided.
Okay, I don't know. That may have been policy that was already put in place before this, but the rhetoric is radically different. Radically different. He's now sounding like sort of a standard mainstream politician on immigration. Mm-hmm. The standard position has always been that we want to deport the criminals, the felons, not the housekeepers and the landscapers.
I don't think he's explicitly saying we don't want to deport the landscapers and the housekeepers. I haven't heard him say that in particular. I hear this rhetorical sleight of hand that's a little dishonest, but where he says we need to deport all the criminals and we're focusing on criminals first, and we don't have to do as much because jails are complying with us now.
Mm-hmm.
Where he says that, but implicit in that is that everybody who crossed the border illegally is a criminal. Like an illegal immigrant is a criminal who crossed the border illegally. That's implicit in that for loyalists who are paying attention. And I don't see the deportations slowing down. I see them ramping up.
Okay, well, the other reason I think it was somewhat hollow, this whole anti-immigration stuff, is that Trump himself demonstrated that he himself is not really that committed to it, because why else would he devote all these resources and all this political risk to invading Minneapolis, which has a tiny sliver of the illegal immigrants in the United States? And the number of illegal immigrants that they actually deported in Minnesota is an even tinier sliver. It's not even a dent in the numbers.
It's about sovereignty. It's
Well,
about federal supremacy. It's about going after the organized left. It's about taking down the fraud.
Yes, that's what it's about. No, I mean, I think it's a little bit 1919 Milan, Italy, actually. It's been an attack on the left. That's why the biggest shows of force were where? Chicago, Los Angeles, and Minneapolis. Who are the mayors there? And who are the governors of those states? These are
people who initially did not comply with ICE, who would immediately release criminals back onto the street. You have larger numbers being deported in Texas, like 10 times as many immigrants being deported in Texas because they've been complying with ICE and they've been supporting ICE.
So in 1919, in Italy, the Communist Party and its many subsidiaries and allies that were huge. It was huge in Italy. The Communist Party, communist movement, which were allied with the Soviet Union, were actually launching massive strikes that shut down the economy. Were seizing businesses, like mom and pop businesses throughout Milan. Hundreds of them were actually just forcibly expropriated by mobs of communists, would come into the businesses and take them over. And this was the origin of Benito Mussolini's movement. He organized groups of armed men, mostly World War I veterans, and they took to the streets and routed the communists. And those groups were called the squadristi. And the squadristi became the founders of the Italian Fascist Party, who, of course, eventually took power. And what I'm saying is the origins of fascism, and I learned this in our course on fascism when John Foote gave our lecture there, really started off as, I think, a fairly, from my point of view, and I think the point of view of most people, quite a noble venture. It was quite noble to liberate the people of Milan, and then it spread to the rest of the country, from a truly vile, violent, totalitarian communist movement. I think this was Trump's squadristi moment. I think he was trying to get the commies out of the big cities. Now, the thing is, the commies in the big cities in Chicago and Los Angeles and Minneapolis aren't nearly the commies of Italy in 1919. I don't fear them much. I hated them during COVID, and before that, I've had a very long history of hating the Democratic Party and being a chief critic of it. And you will see this in the World War II course, most certainly, because the chief perpetrator of the crimes against humanity in World War II was actually Franklin Roosevelt in terms of body count. And the Democratic Party generally, the New Dealers. But I don't think, in other words, I think this was all not about immigration. Primarily. Both for Trump, MAGA, most of these MAGA types, the anti-immigration people, I don't see it. I think there were other motives at play, and I think we're sort of seeing that come to bear now. The fact that he sent in Tom Homan, and Tom Homan immediately changes policy, changes direction in Minnesota, pulls out 700 troops and starts to refocus on the actual criminals rather than just anybody they might suspect of being an illegal immigrant who might have dark skin or speak with an accent. I think what happened, and I can't prove this, but I think what happened is people just saw lots of videos, not so much of the violence against the left. I think they like that. I think even the shootings of Preddy and Good were either welcomed by a lot of MAGA types, or it didn't concern them. I think what concerned them actually was seeing little Salvadoran women being thrown into vans who clearly weren't criminals and, again, probably worked as housekeepers. And the landscapers in LA and all of them, seeing people who clearly are no threat and were actually on the job doing work that most Americans won't do. I think it's hard for people because it's hard now to be an American and not have some interaction, some contact with illegal immigrants, or at least benefit in some way. I would say it's impossible now to be an American and not benefit in some way from illegal immigrants and their labor. They're also generally extremely sympathetic people. Even if you're a right-wing MAGA chud, they are very hardworking. They're extremely law-abiding because they have to be. And we know this statistically. There's a major study in Texas that showed this.
It's just don't true, trust the Cato
Michael.
Institute. I do not.
Wasn't the Cato Institute? It had nothing to do with the Cato Institute.
Not the Cato Institute from Texas. That was
no. It wasn't the Cato Institute. No, Cato didn't do that study.
There is a Cato study from Texas that I thought you were referencing. There is a Cato study.
They refer to it. It's not their study. They didn't launch it. No, but it stands to reason that they would be more hardworking and more law-abiding because they have to be, because they fear deportation. So it just makes sense. And again, we have evidence of it. Why would you come to the United States to commit crime? What's the point? You're going to do all that and risk all that to come here to rob people and kill people? Why? No, we know this. Since the first major immigration wave, which started in the 1870s, there was another one before then too, all of them. There were criminals. There were Irish criminals and Jewish criminals and Italian criminals who came too, sure. But overwhelmingly, they were just trying to make some money and stay out of trouble, because if they got in trouble, they could be deported. And that's even more true now. So again, it's just, the whole thing is absolutely ridiculous to me and self-defeating, self-destructive to go after illegal immigrants as such. Illegal immigrants who happen to be criminals, sure, we agree. Either put them in prison or send them away. But to deport any of them who aren't criminals, I think is just absolutely ridiculous and self-destructive. We will, as I've said many times, there would actually be hunger in America if we deported all of them.
Well, we're going to find out. I keep saying this. We're going to find out.
No, we're not, because they haven't deported shit.
They've deported 3 million people, 2.2 million self-deported, over 700,000 deported. We're knocking on 3 million already.
So that's Obama's numbers.
Yeah, but we're also seeing net negative migration, and we're seeing no new people come in. So we're seeing this. We're, and we're
not if there's 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants, which is most people agree on that. Somewhere in that.
That would bring us back to where we were in 2019, and I don't think we were starving to death in 2019.
Yeah, but that's not everybody. That's a fraction.
That's if you get to 10 million, I think a lot of people are going to be satisfied, and that would bring us that would be something that like people thought was impossible, and that would bring us back to where we were in 2019.
There will be rain coming through your roof when that happens, because all the roofers will now be back in Mexico. It's a major industry for illegal immigrants. Just look at the food industry, the food supply chain. It's ridiculous. Did I say this? Didn't I last week, 2 weeks ago? The only part of the whole food supply chain in America that's not dominated by illegal immigrants is processed food. So you'll have access to processed food, no problem, after we deport all of them. But fruits and vegetables, gone. There will be none. I mean, none. California, the entire California agricultural sector, which produces most of the fruits and vegetables, will shut down. I mean, that's who picks things in the fields. We know this. And the meat processing, slaughterhouses, steak will be 2, 3, 4 times more expensive or just unavailable. Milk will double in price at least. These industries are dominated by illegal immigrants. They depend on those people. And that's just food supply. Again, so much other menial labor that is essential for our economy is done almost exclusively by people without papers. I don't understand it whatsoever. It's just ridiculous, except I can only explain it as, if I'm going to be polite, xenophobia. And if I'm not polite, it has to be just some form of racism. It's the only way to explain why you would want to deport some 60-year-old woman named Rosa, who is from El Salvador, lived over 30 years taking care of rich people's babies and cleaning their houses. I just cannot understand it. Who never speaks, who rides the bus because she can't get a driver's license. That's most of them. That's most of them. People like that.
The thing that got me really committed on this issue was reading Pat Buchanan's State of Emergency that he wrote in 2005. And he details that there were 6 million German immigrants between the founding of the country and 1965, 5 million Italian immigrants. I mean, those are the 2 largest ethnic groups. And between the founding of the country in 1965, Joe Biden let in 12 million people, mostly from South America, Central America, Mexico, in 4 years.
But the population of the United States in the 19th century was a fraction of what it is now. The population of the world was a fraction of what it is now. In the 19th century,
I know
there were tiny percentage.
20th,
but even the early 20th, the population, I think, didn't even get to half of what we are until World War II. In the 19th century, it was a sliver. I mean, much of this country was unpopulated or sparsely populated.
You can't.
It was mostly farmers. 80% of the country was farmers until the 20th century.
I'm saying
totally different world.
In 4 years, we've gotten more immigrants than the 2 largest ethnic groups of immigrants that we had in the first 200 years of our country. In 4 years.
But doesn't it matter as a percentage of the population what they are?
Yeah, that I know, but that's part of it. To say that that's not going to change the country at all, that's not going to have an impact on the country at all, that it's only going to be a net positive, is ridiculous. The country has a right to enforce the makeup of the country, and there's a asymmetrical policy here where if you just open the borders, you can transform the country in a very small amount of time. And to undo that effect requires this massive undertaking that we're seeing now. And even if the administration goes as hog wild as possible, they're only going to get us back to 2019 levels. So
America, as we know, is turning 250 this year. So 250 years, United States. Out of those, only 40 years were spent really restricting immigration. Other than that, the other 210 years of this country's history has been basically unlimited immigration, essentially. They tried to keep criminals out during the Ellis Island era, but other than that, you could get in no matter who you were, pretty much. And that's true. So what's the American tradition? And also, I would say that the 40 years of restriction, which is 1924 to 1965, 41 years.
The years that America became a superpower.
Well, I was going to say, well, yeah, true. That's one thing. Also, that is when I think when MAGA talks about when America was great, they think of that time. I think it's not a coincidence.
Culturally, there's callbacks to that for sure.
And what do we think of the culture in America in the 1940s and 50s? We think of it as the most homogeneous.
The greatest generation.
most boring era. We do. Era. And if it weren't for the blacks, we would have nothing that you and I would be interested in this culture. Nothing. If it weren't for American black people during that time, because they invented rock and roll and all that, right? But Hollywood famously became extremely homogeneous and
the golden age of Hollywood you're talking about.
With the code. No, the 70s are the golden age of Hollywood. That's the other thing. Like, they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't really want to live in the 1950s, these people. But America, as I said, except for those 40 years, has pretty much welcomed everybody from all over the damn world of every type. There was immigration restriction on Asians, Chinese, and Japanese. That's true before then. But otherwise, we let them all in all the time. And this is the country we live in. And thank God, it's maybe the thing I love the most about this country is what all the immigrants have done. This is mind-boggling to me. I just
pre-1965, you don't have a welfare state. You don't have a system to extract the taxpayer, the citizens of their wealth. Like
you have less of a welfare state.
Yeah.
You have the New Deal.
You don't have great society, though.
True.
You don't have, yeah.
You have the New Deal. Mm-hmm. You have public housing.
Mm-hmm. But that was
various forms of welfare subsidies. But yes, you're right.
That was, but that was during the moratorium. We had the welfare state started kicking off when there was a moratorium.
Sure. So if you're rich in this country, you can't get welfare, right? We stop people, even citizens, from getting welfare. Certain people from getting, we have means to do that. When you go to the Medicaid office and put in your application for Medicaid, it'll say citizen or no. And if it says no citizen, you don't get the Medicaid. I don't know how this is difficult for people to get. Lots and lots. Most people are barred from getting welfare because they have money. We can do it. We have done it. We do it. We bar people from accessing welfare for all sorts of reasons. One of them has also been non-citizenship.
All right.
What are you talking about?
You live in California where you have free healthcare for immigrants in California.
Okay. Well, that can stop if you want.
All right.
I'm not even sure that's true, by the way. I don't know if illegal immigrants can have Medicaid here. I don't know.
They get state funding, which gets federal funding through Medicare.
Okay. Yeah. But that can be reversed. Fine.
Then let's reverse.
You don't need to kick them out entirely of the country. You can just simply say you don't get Medicaid. It's easy because you have to go to a hospital, go see a doctor. They will find out whether you're a citizen or not by that time. It's not the only argument that makes any sense to me is public utilities. Sure. Like the freeways, the roads will be used by illegal immigrants, I suppose.
Public schools.
We can keep them out of there too.
No, we can't. There's a Supreme Court decision on this.
But we could, is my point.
We could. Okay, you'd have to overrule a Supreme Court
without deporting everybody. I'd rather do that than deport everybody.
Okay.
And try to make America boring again.
Yeah, I'm all for drying up every single welfare program possible. Yes, I'm all for that.
You can just restrict
the first
them.
And most necessary.
You can just restrict them to citizens.
That's not the system we live in now, and there are NGOs and there are state governments doing every possible workaround to get as much money into the hands of migrants and quote unquote asylum seekers and refugees as possible.
Okay. I think we've flogged this issue enough.
All right, I know.
I think you and I have both presented our cases fully, and we have to talk about pedophiles.
One last thing, but the Democrat primary, the first in 2019, the first primary debate, every single candidate raised their hand and said they want universal health care for illegal immigrants. They
did?
Yeah, every single candidate raised their hand. That was a raise your hand question. Every single one said, yep, free health care for illegal immigrants.
Fight that. But even that, that's, to me, I would be opposed to giving welfare to illegal immigrants, I suppose. But it's a minor issue compared to other things that are happening. Also, like even if we did give Medicaid to every illegal immigrant, okay, that would be bad for state budgets and the federal budget, I suppose. But compared to what we spend on war, you know, and Social Security and all the rest of it, I mean, it's going to be, again, a small percentage. But anyway, let's move on. We got to talk about pedophiles because that's what everybody loves.
Yeah. And then the big, sorry, one more thing, but the big, a lot of state of emergency focuses on the Prop 187 thing in California that was like, what, 99 or 2000, where there was a referendum that no funds go to illegal immigrants, and it passed overwhelmingly, and some judge struck it down, and it was like, total transformation of California law undemocratically. Pedophiles. Yeah, this is another thing where I'm angry at the right wing.
My God.
And like, I'm seeing all these declarations like, if you think the Epstein files are still a nothing burger, you're my enemy. You're totally wrong about it. You know, you're protecting pedophiles right now. And yeah, this is the biggest vindication of it. Yeah.
So far, what I've seen from the new release of these Epstein files is that are the most damning is several videos of Epstein and or still photos of Epstein and Prince Andrew and a couple of other famous guys standing on a kitchen counter and like teasing and playing with and sort of chasing around female people that we can't tell who they are or how old they are because their faces are completely blocked out.
Yeah.
Their bodies could be teenagers. They could even be early 20s. Some of them could even be full 30-year-old women, but we don't know. There's no sex in any of these pictures or videos. There's no nudity in any of these pictures or videos. There's no one saying anything about sex in any of these pictures or videos. And then we have hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of tips that were emailed in to the DOJ.
An anonymous FBI tip line after Epstein was dead. Yeah.
Anonymous tip saying, oh yeah, Alan Dershowitz had anal sex with 4-year-olds for a year. And
Trump is burying bodies in his golf course that he didn't own.
Oh yeah, now they killed him. The 3-year-old who disappeared in England 22 years ago. Apparently Epstein had something to do with that because someone wrote something about maybe this had something to do with Epstein. I don't even.
Yeah, there's a letter alleging. Yeah,
but this, by the way, liberals, some lefties are saying this, right? It's not just MAGA anymore. Even Breaking Point's my favorite news show on YouTube. They're all over this. I'm like, what do you see? Because I sure don't see any pedophilia. I don't see any child sex. I don't see any trafficking. I don't see anything but a bunch of old dudes hanging out with some women, some of whom may have been young, but there's no kids and there's no sex. There's no sex at all. Yeah, Prince Andrew was like on the floor on hands and knees and there's a woman on her back underneath him. Is that never something that anyone's ever done with their girlfriend or someone they're dating or a friend? I mean, what are we talking about? Fully clothed. He's looking at the camera, smiling. They're obviously just playing around. Where is the evidence? And so, but yet they all say this is obviously this international pedophile sex trafficking network. And I just think you look at those pictures and you see child rape. You read these emails from anonymous people who most of them are clearly psychotic. And you immediately just see child rape. You see naked children having sex with adults. Accusations I've heard are often confessions. There is a whole lot of projection going on. There's no other way to explain it. This obsession, but this, like, when you see something, you see a naked child having sex. I don't know how else to explain the entire pedophile hysteria of the last 2-3 years, except as a mass phenomenon of projection. I'm sorry, I can't explain it any other way. These people have some kind of secret desires to fuck kids, and they're imposing it, projecting it onto others to alleviate their guilt, I suppose. How do you look at those pictures and know that that's having sex with a kid? Those things that Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew were doing are things that adult parents do with their kids all the time. All the time.
There's nothing admissible in a court of law, which is what it frustrates me, is like you've got Alex Jones demanding
nothing
convictions, like he has to, like, there's all these demands that Trump start indicting people right now, and I'm like, what would be the charge and what would be the evidence to support that charge? And there's nothing in this that could be admissible in a court of law. There's a lot of interesting emails. There's a lot of really interesting emails that tell you who he was communicating with and what kind of business he was into. And there's some legitimately interesting stuff in here, but there's nothing that shows the crazy fantasy that we've been sold for the last 5-10 years.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I see news reports every week or two. A couple weeks ago, there was a guy in Georgia, Statesboro, Georgia, who walked into a trailer in a trailer park that was owned by a family. And there was a 10-year-old girl and an 11-year-old girl, and he pulled a knife on them, held a knife to their throat, and forced the 11-year-old to have sex with him at knife point. And there's no disputing that, by the way. Like, everyone involved agrees that that's what happened. Not a news story. No one's talking about that. What was it, 3 months ago? Was it 4 or 5 guys in Alabama? It's interesting, it's always red states. Were arrested and charged, and again, no one's disputing this, with chaining children, meaning prepubescent, under 10. I think some of them were 3, 4, 5 years old, chaining them up in some cabin on their property and having men come and pay them to have sex with these children who were chained to a radiator, like over months and months, like 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. An organized criminal conspiracy of pedophiles, pederasts. Pedophiles are just people who are sexually attracted to prepubescent children. Pederasts are those who do it, who have in Alabama, Trump country, the heart of Trump, Georgia, Trump country. That's pedophilia. That's pederasty. That's bad. That's real. You don't have to imagine things. You don't have to have some preconceived idea that the world is infested with pedophiles to see that. But here, you can only see Prince Andrew doing pedophilia from what we've seen.
If you imagine it.
If you imagine it. Your imagination, not your, one's imagination must be full of pedophiles having sex with children to see that. We need to look inside ourselves. The call is coming from inside the house. I've been saying this for years. I'm sort of glad it's now coming. The chickens are coming home to roost on this issue. Mm-hmm. But it's just so bizarre that people see what they think they see. They think they see something that you can't see otherwise unless you have these ideas, these fantasies. That can only be a fantasy. To see Prince Andrew fucking a kid, you have to have a fantasy of fucking kids. I don't have that fantasy when I see a picture like that, I think he's horsing around with what might be a 20-year-old woman on the floor. Something that I've done with girlfriend. Everybody has done with adults, whatever. As a parent, of course. Like, as a boyfriend, of course. As a husband, of course. We've all done these things. Show me the damn pedophilia. There's not even any expression of sexual desire for prepubescent children. I've seen it all. None. And if you want to say to me, a 16-year-old girl, that's a child, and if you are sexually attracted to her, that makes you a pedophile, do I need to even address this? First of all, 16 is the age of consent in Alabama. In all the red states in the South, it's 16. It used to be 14 not long ago. In California, commie blue state, Gavin Newsom, California, it's been 18 forever, and they enforce it fiercely here. If you have a sex with a 17-year-old and you're 20 years old, you're going to prison here. Not so in red state, not so in Trump country, not so in the heart of MAGA. We also know where's the rape and molestation of children taken place the most? Two places: inside the family, the American family. Yes, the American family, that's where most of it happens. And where else? In churches. Not just the Catholics, by the way. Lots of churches. My uncle was molested by a Mormon minister when he was a kid because my uncle was gay. He was a gay kid, and the minister sensed that and took advantage of it. Super common. There's a lot of it that goes on in Orthodox Jewish communities and in synagogues, I'm sorry to say. Yeah. So pedophilia, the rape of children, molesting children, why are we not looking at where it actually happens? Because we don't actually care about it, except we like to exercise our fantasies about fucking children. I can't explain it any other way. What do you think?
Yeah, the comments are saying they're not releasing,
Oh, the real stuff? Oh, the real child rape? Yeah, okay.
You can't, I mean, that's sensitive material, obviously. Like you can
still
can't
have
own
evidence.
That. I know. You can't release that to the public en masse. That's you
can release enough to convict somebody without showing the victims. Mm-hmm. We do it all the time. Every time there is child rape,
yeah,
they go to prison. There's a news story about it, and we don't release the kid's name or any identifying characteristics of them. This has been done. It can be done. Every society has done it for centuries. It's not a problem. We do it all the time. Those two cases I just mentioned, those horrific cases of actual child rape, of course, there's no mention of the kids, no pictures of the kids, no identifying anything of them. Really? I just, good Lord. What? We need people who have been on this pedophile hysteria rampage need to look inside themselves and ask themselves, why is it that they see child rape when there isn't any? And why is it a right-wing thing? Oh, now it's a left-wing thing too. But
yeah, well, it's a cynical play on the left now to just try to go after Trump. Yeah.
Well, they definitely, right. They certainly don't care, except because it hurts Trump. Sure.
Yeah. But
and the Zionists too, which is another idiotic thing. Like to make this, and this is where Michael Tracy's been completely right. A lot of it's been right-wing anti-Semitism because Epstein was Jewish and Jews are pedophiles apparently because Israel has this thing where they allow pedophiles, which is true, totally true. Israel has allowed convicted pederasts in America and elsewhere to come to Israel and have immunity there and to be full citizens. It's totally true. That's because Israel needs to have every Jew it can in its clutches. Not because they're pro-pedophile or that Jews are more pedophilic than other demographic groups.
Yeah, the big piece of evidence that I saw the right using was don't you see in all these emails they call us goyim? That was the big thing is the number of emails.
Yeah, we do call you goyim. It's true. Every Jew I've ever known, I've used it many times. It's hilarious. It's funny. I mean, yes, all the time. Goyish, goyim, all the time. Yeah. So fucking what? Compared to other ethnic groups?
Put me in
Please.
the green room, not in the lobby. The lobby is for the goyim. Like,
And which goyim have been offended by this in the past?
yeah, it's
None. Who cares?
Mhm. I do think there's something real to Pizzagate, and I do think there's something a little suspicious and weird to how many times the word pizza shows up in these emails.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Please. Are you
I
serious?
do think there's something real with the Podestas and elite circles and being transgressive, and I do think that. And the thing is, it is possible that they did these crimes and are very good at covering their tracks, but I don't see the alleged network of blackmail. I don't see any quid pro quo blackmail kind of stuff. I
Right.
see a lot of flattery. I see a lot of positioning and trying to get in with people politically. The big shocker to me was how involved Steve Bannon was with Epstein and the games that they were playing with each other. Bannon is like trying to rehabilitate Epstein a little bit in his image, and like they're both like trading insider tips about the Trump administration, and Epstein's trying to work his way into undermining the Trump administration, and Bannon might be letting him on, but that's interesting stuff to look at. What is it? The evolutionary biologist and the stuff that they were talking about in the 2010s about transgenderism and about, hey, we might be able to push hormones onto 3-year-olds, and the talk about the trans agenda pushing that. That's kind of interesting that's coming out.
Well,
but
wait, I mean, what I do see a lot of that is extremely important is evidence of a vast international U.S.-Israeli intelligence ring. Jeffrey Epstein,
completely voluntary.
Yeah, probably just because he was a very rich guy.
Yeah,
who was vaguely pro-Israel. They recruited him to do both the CIA and Mossad and whoever in those governments. Recruited him to do all these brokering deals and between foreign dignitaries and arranging all these things, trying to get Silicon Valley involved in national security, and Palantir and Thiel and Ehud Barak is involved, and Iran-Contra, and Jeffrey Epstein is in the middle of all of that stuff because he knows all these people.
Yeah.
And he's not, there's all these emails of him saying, hey, why don't you give some money to Palantir? Hey, why don't you meet with my friend? And it's never, hey, they have pictures of you.
Well,
with a
there are
12-year-old.
emails.
You better do this.
There are emails about parties with cute little girls, and there's a lot of references to cute little girls. And, that could mean people that could mean young women in their 20s. It could.
Or 16 and 17.
Yeah.
Which I think is some of it for sure. But again, totally legal in red states still to this day. And that's not pedophilia. And if you want to tell me that you're a pedophile if you're ever sexually attracted to a 17-year-old girl, can we be adults for a second here? It's just not the same thing unless you see kids being fucked in your mind, which I don't. So therefore I don't see that.
No, it is largely a salacious fantasy for people who don't watch Netflix and get their entertainment elsewhere. It's that for certain. And the way people are running wild with what's in there. It's totally crazy. I think part of the projection also, though, is a feeling of impotence amongst a lot of men, the feeling that they can't do something. And so the ultimate fantasy of doing something good and being righteous with violence is to protect children from these evil, powerful people. So, you can't actually go out with a gun and fight your local pedophile, but you can scan through millions of documents and post salacious pictures, and you
can say you will.
Yeah,
say that you would.
You can grandstand anonymously on social media all day about how you're taking down pedophiles.
I'm not just going to kill them. I'm going to put them through a wood chipper. I'm going to double kill them. I'm going to extra kill them.
Yeah.
I'm such a protector, right? I'm such a manly, masculine protector
Mhm.
of the weak and the vulnerable. I'm going to put pedophiles through a wood chipper when you haven't protected anybody ever and you're incapable of it because you probably weigh several hundred pounds and don't go outside much.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, man, the right wing sucks. Turns
Well,
out.
Mystery Grove published like a 1 year state of how the Trump administration is doing, and there's been a lot of discourse about this, but there is a quote retard right that of
Yeah.
influencers that that glob on to the craziest Candace Owens conspiracy about Charlie Kirk being a time traveler, or whatever is in the Epstein Files.
Erica Kirk is somehow evil now, and and she works for, I don't know. Why do we care about Erica Kirk?
Yeah,
what the hell? Like
total eye off the ball, like total unserious people who know nothing about politics, only use politics as entertainment, don't know how to move the ball on any issue, and are nothing but a liability to the Trump administration. Yeah.
And they're all political neophytes. That's a big part of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
They became political maybe 10 years ago at the earliest. And now they think they know everything, but they don't know anything. And they're, again, just projecting their own, whatever kind of fantasies they have onto the political world and other people. It's really bad and dumb. The good news is that it's very ineffective ultimately, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
You don't think so, but I mean, we are seeing the complete collapse of the MAGA movement, which actually, hang on. Well, if I'm at all right about that, I think it's actually somewhat sad because I wasn't allied with the MAGA movement, but I was friendly toward it and very sympathetic to it until 2 years ago. And certainly till this last year, because they were the only people in our country who were offering a real critique of those who actually hold power, which is the Democratic Party and the liberal establishment. They still, that group, Democratic Party and the liberal establishment, that's still who controls this country. That's still who basically controls the culture in this country. And they most certainly did until Trump came along. And who was offering the best critiques of that? MAGA, the Trump movement, Trump himself. And that's why I had dozens and dozens of MAGA people on my show, including some who ended up in the damn cabinet with Trump and who to this day, I guess, are still aligned with that movement. So it's sad. You're right. That movement was full of knuckleheads who didn't know anything about politics, who basically had the politics or the emotional intelligence and the political intelligence of a 14-year-old boy. It's been an adolescent male thing from the beginning, and it's going to fall apart. It is falling apart, and it will fall apart. Meanwhile, the liberals are getting ready to stomp the shit out of y'all in November and take control again.
I don't see any talent.
Really
they have all right. The GOP has way more money. Like, they spent themselves into debt during 2024. The Democrats did.
Wait, so who has more money?
GOP has way more cash on hand
than the Democrats.
Than the Democrats, yes.
No, they do not.
The DNC is in debt. The RNC is not. By all metrics, the Republicans have more cash on hand, and they've got Elon Musk, and there's a Trump war chest in addition to the RNC war chest. Financially, the Republicans are doing a lot better this time around, and a lot of Silicon Valley has defected to the right, and they've stayed everybody on the All In podcast is still total MAGA, and they've gotten more MAGA, every single one of them. Now they still might try to moderate the positions, but they're still working within that system.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, and on policy, the Republicans are winning. The only policy that Democrats pull better on is healthcare, and that's
not immigration anymore.
No,
This is-
there's still deportation. The policy of deportation is still popular. If you say, do you want to deport illegal immigrants, it's something like 60-40 deport illegal immigrants. If you want to deport all illegal immigrants, it's like 50-48 in favor of
Really?
deporting all of
Is
them.
that according to Rasmussen?
Rasmussen is all over the. His data is good a lot of the times. I don't know
No,
who.
it's not. It's almost never good.
Just okay.
Sorry.
Again,
It's not.
He was the one guy who all the polls in 2024 said Kamala was ahead, and he was the one guy saying Trump was going to win the popular vote. So there's that. But I'm not only getting Rasmussen, but
Okay.
I do see smarter people coming up in the MAGA movement. I see like everybody on the Blaze seems to be smart. Like John Doyle, 26-year-old kid, just perfectly understands politics, is smarter than Nick Fuentes, faster than him, totally on board, total sycophant for Trump. Patrick Casey, another young man, he just had Michael Tracy on, totally understands all the kookiness with Epstein. Yeah, I see a lot of emerging young talent on the right, and I see no talented politicians on the left, really. Like when it comes to 2028, Josh Shapiro is like the only guy I think who could do well, and I don't see a path for him to win the primary. I see them.
You don't think Gavin's going to win?
He might win the primary. I think Kamala might win the primary. I think she's been surging in the polls, and she's got a huge amount of black support, and you need that early on in the primaries. I think she could win South Carolina in a way that Newsom can't. And
well, I just don't see any way that MAGA, maybe an establishment Republican, could win.
No, dude, the establishment Republicans are worse, dude.
No, I know.
No, the base of I mean,
no, but
not even
MAGA,
politically. But
my point is, MAGA is done.
MAGA is delivering, dude. MAGA is like literally It's the first time I've ever seen anybody deliver on policy. It's the first time you see like economic indicators trend positive. Again, by and large, like I see Vance as the only person polling positively at all as a public figure. Vance, Rubio are still polling positively.
The point is, independents are a huge block now. I think aren't they comparable in size to each of the other parties? I believe. I think there's about as many independents now as there are Democrats and Republicans. It's also the fastest growing group of voters. So, and they are overwhelmingly anti-MAGA, anti-Trump now.
I think
so. There's no way you're going to win.
We'll see what happens
at this pace. I mean, at this rate, you're not. And again, over the next 3 years, Trump will be 81, right at the end of this term.
Yeah, and Vance is going to be 43.
He's already spinning off his axis. So he is.
No, not
it's
at
not
all.
Playing well, man.
That's just the Democrats copying the Joe Biden critiques and putting it on him. He's not as fast as he was in 2016, sure, but like he's
okay. I don't know what polling you're looking at, but it's I've seen many polls, and they all show that he is tanking, MAGA's tanking, the detention program is tanking in popularity among normies, and in particular, most importantly, independents. Sure, the 30% of the country that is hardcore Trump, yeah, they haven't changed. Even some of them have changed, but sure, I get that they'll get about 30% enthusiastic supporters of Trump. That's it, though. The independents decide elections now, for sure, and they're done with y'all.
There were low propensity voters that helped Trump in 2024, and it's a shame how the influencer class has led them to be complete idiots on everything. But
so we haven't even talked about foreign policy, which could be easily the death of Trump, almost literally, any moment now, right? Any moment, if the United States if he allows the United States to get sucked into some real war, which is,
remains to be seen, though.
I know, but it's like imminent in like 4 different places in the world right now. And God knows 3 more years of this. with Israel's influence over him, the Zionist influence over Trump, that will totally end him. Do you not think?
If there's a legit American troops, boots on the ground, American troops are dying, war in Iran, yeah, that's awful. I'm out. But I don't see that happening. But we'll see. I don't know what's going to, the Trump foreign policy has been incredibly unpredictable, and everybody who tries to predict it ends up with egg on their face. But again, I think like the Venezuela thing, like the largest shift in Hispanic approval has happened because of that.
Where do you see this?
Yeah, there's been polls that say like Trump is polling 58% with Hispanics. There's been a number
because of Venezuela.
Because of Venezuela, yeah, it's a shift that only happened since January.
Was that poll taken among Venezuelan expats in Washington D.C.?
But there's other polls that show like not even, but just a massive shift. Like by and large, Maduro is incredibly unpopular. Like literally, I'm with a lot. I know a lot of Hispanic people.
True, you do.
And a lot of progressive Hispanic people. And when this happened,
true,
the first thing they said is to all their Venezuelan friends is, "I'm so happy for you that Maduro is gone." That was how they predicated everything. I'm so happy for you. You deserve to be happy. A lot of people are happy that Maduro's gone, and yeah, and the restructuring of Latin America to be more and more right wing. Costa Rica just had another right winger, and all these governments are working with Trump. You've got Milei, you've got Bukele, you've got is it Fernandez now in Costa Rica, working with the Trump administration for deportations and on their economic agenda. I see a new Latin America that's aligned with Trump. With the Don Roe doctrine,
but Iran is where it's at.
Yeah.
Right? He can get away. He can get away with kidnapping someone from Venezuela.
Yeah, and objectively, it looks cool too.
But let's talk about Iran, the state of play, as it were, in Iran. So, the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier and its strike group, has been positioned. I just found this out recently. Not in the Persian Gulf, I guess it is, but like it's literally 1,000 miles from the coastline of Iran. Why not get closer? The cruise missiles, the Tomahawk cruise missiles, their range is 1,000 miles. So they can't even really strike inside Iran from that aircraft carrier. Why are they 1,000 miles off the coast of Iran if they're trying to pose a threat to Iran? Because Iran is bristling with missiles, with surface to sea missiles. Because why? Because they've been preparing for 20 years to go to war with the United States in the Persian Gulf. One of the pieces of that is that they've developed hundreds and hundreds, built hundreds, and I've seen videos. You can see they're pretty amazing. These speedboats that have torpedoes on them. They're designed entirely to attack U.S. aircraft carriers. They're very, very fast. They move in and out really quickly. They launch a torpedo. They hit the aircraft carrier and they're gone. And they're staffed by the IRGC, hardcore people who are do or die with the regime. And if you hit one, if there's one strike on an aircraft, plus they have all these flying drones, the Garan, Russia and Iran jointly basically developed this drone, which the U.S. just copied, by the way, because it was so good. The Shahad, it's in Iran, it's the Shahad. In Russia, it's the Garan drone. It's a kamikaze drone. It's been used in the Ukraine war. They have thousands of those things. Easily, they could hit that aircraft carrier or even the destroyers accompanying the aircraft carrier. Now, if that were to happen, that's my fear. Because if that were to happen, and I hope that Iran doesn't do that, although it would be somewhat satisfying to see the U.S. get its ass kicked in a place where it doesn't belong. But of course, we know what would happen if the USS Lincoln got hit by an Iranian drone or a gunboat, the American people would call for absolute war against Iran, and we probably would kill millions of people in a massive bombing campaign over that country because we could. So, but nonetheless, and then there's the Al Udeid Air Base, military base, which is the biggest U.S. base in the entire region. It's like right across the Gulf, well within missile range of Iran. Many, many other bases surrounding Iran, U.S. bases surrounding Iran, that all will be dust, smoke and dust after Iranian missiles hit them. Not to mention the effect on the world economy. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Now it gets shut down, causing probably economic depression, global economic depression, most likely. But that would also precipitate, I think, because of American people, given their history of falling for such things, World War III. Russia is clearly deeply implicated and involved in Iran's national security. So is China at this point. They will supply more and more weaponry and assistance and intelligence assistance to Iran in such case. So we are that close, right? If one of those little speedboats with the missile on it in the Gulf hits the Lincoln or any U.S. ship, I don't see how that wouldn't happen. I think the American people would immediately call for a full-on war against Iran, and again, or to bring in Russia and China. That's terrifying, and we are this close to it. So I hope, and thankfully, the Iranian regime has been extremely disciplined and patient over the last 3 decades dealing with the U.S., has not attacked the U.S. in that way because they know, I think, that that's what it would precipitate. But that's how close we are. That's how close we are. Israel, as we know, has been pushing as hard as it can for the U.S. to go to war with Iran for about 3 decades now. Thankfully, Israel doesn't actually wag the dog. Even under Trump has been telling them no repeatedly. Even just now, this last week, you can see that he's been saying nope. He's been backing away. And they're begging him, cajoling him to hit Iran, and he's not into it. And there's lots of reports that he has been kind of bewildered in some ways by Israeli insistence on war with Iran. But nonetheless, Trump is a mercurial person, to say the least. And he's also obviously quite beholden to Zionist interests who have a lot of money and flatter him and whatever. And then Jared Kushner, I think, is a big part of this. I think Jared is a major reason why Trump is so pro-Israel. We're just walking right next to a very fine line between us and a global war that would kill lots of people, and I'm sure there would be some sort of blowback against Americans here in some way or another. Anyway, that would also end the Trump presidency.
Yeah, if.
Right.
Witkoff is going to Oman on a diplomatic meeting, and I think Trump on a Truth Social message and Rubio as well have said that this meeting is about the nuclear program, and to me that's
Turkey. They're meeting in Turkey.
I think they changed. I think it was originally set for Turkey, and they changed it to Oman.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And the demands are get rid of any nuclear program, which to me is like, didn't you just say that you completely obliterated any possibility of a nuclear program? So why are you bringing this back up again? That's just triggering cognitive dissonance for me. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe the attacks were completely fake, and he there is a nuclear program still, or I don't know. But Yeah.
I mean, when I saw this meeting announced that
Mhm.
I think it's the Iranian foreign minister, right? I think he'll be there. He's meeting with Witkoff.
Mhm.
And my first thought was, I hope he survives the flight,
Mhm.
because what has happened the last two times, first with Hamas, there was the meeting. Trump said, "Oh, we're going to negotiate with Witkoff, with you, Hamas, in Doha." And then the next day or two, they tried to bomb all the Hamas guys in Doha and tried to kill them, and killed, I think, their families instead of the guys themselves. And then, of course, with the 12-day war, I mean, it was just the most disgusting act of deceitful diplomacy in American history, possibly. Can't think. And this is a country that's done a lot of deceitful diplomacy, but Trump was saying for weeks before that, we're going to negotiate. We're going to come to a settlement on this. We're on favor. We want to help Iran build itself up, whatever. And then you kill all the leadership in Iran in their apartment buildings with their families. So I don't think that's going to happen this time, but it's amazing that Iran is actually willing to do this, given that recent history. Anyway, that's where we are.
Mhm.
Last words, Michael Weimer.
Another thing is the ballistic missiles. Like, they're trying to get rid of Iran's ballistic missile program to get rid of the range to reach Israel, which is
to disarm Iran entirely.
Totally.
Make
That
Iran
was
completely defenseless. Right.
Yeah.
That's the demand.
You
will have no means to defend yourself if you agree to this.
Yeah.
So,
which sounds like
this is
it sounds like a demand they can't have any hope of actually meeting, but
no sovereign state could.
Yeah.
Right. All right, man. Time to go.
Yep. After show is
happening next week. World War II, which is the origin of all this that we're talking about. And the narrative of World War II has still, and we know this because we hear it all the time, still informs every major foreign policy decision America has made since 1945, including to this day. We hear World War II mentioned all the time. Doesn't matter what the conflict is. Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, China, Taiwan. Every time an issue like this emerges, we are reminded that we did the right thing in World War II, and that's why we need to do this now. So come join me at Unregistered Academy next week. There it is. 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This will be the ultimate revision of the World War II narrative that we have all been taught in schools. Hope to see a lot of you there. Thank you, Michael.
Cool. Oh, yeah. And it was in a classroom just like this with that Nicki Minaj's right-wing turn was first predicted 5 years ago.
By you.
Yeah, I was part of it. I
remember that.
Yeah. I didn't make the prediction, but I sparked the conversation and was willing to look like an idiot so the conversation could happen. But yeah.
You too, and by the way, so you too, not you, those listening, you too can go from a student at the Academy to being co-host of a weekly live stream with me. That is the career path of one Michael Weimer.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen in Unregistered Academy.
That's right.
Cool.
Okay, everybody. Peace out, everybody.